Hansel and Gretel. Hansel and Gretel were brother and sister. Their father was a woodcutter. One day, their mother sent them to take lunch to their father. The children took a basket and set off into the forest where their father was chopping wood. "Can we look for strawberries?" the children asked. "You can," said their father, "but be careful not to get lost." While picking strawberries, the children didn't notice that they had wandered deep into the forest and had lost their way. "I want to go back to Daddy," cried Gretel. They searched and searched for the path, but in vain. It was already getting dark, and they still hadn't found the way. They wandered and wandered until they saw a white bird flying in front of them. They followed it and soon reached a small stream. They easily crossed the stream and continued to follow the white bird. Suddenly, they found themselves in front of a strange little house. Its walls were made of sugar and its roof of pretzels. "Oh, Gretel, I'm so hungry," said Hansel, and broke off a piece of chocolate window. "Don't do that," scolded Gretel. "Someone might get angry with us." But since she was also hungry, she took a piece as well. They ate and wanted to try the other sweets too. Suddenly, the window opened and an ugly old woman poked her head out and said, "Who is nibbling at my little house? Ah, it's you, children. Come inside and eat as much as you like." "Hansel, I'm scared. Let's not go inside," pleaded Gretel. "Come in, dear children," encouraged the old woman. "The soup is already on the table." Although they were afraid, the children went inside. What a wonderful house it was! The hearth was lined with fine cakes. The candlestick and the horseman on the hearth were also made of cakes. Even the clock on the wall was made of cakes. The soup was excellent and very tasty. The children looked around in amazement because the little house was like something out of a fairy tale. Cakes and cakes everywhere. The kind old woman took great care of the children and offered them the finest dishes. When they were well fed, she put them to bed and they fell sweetly asleep. But in the morning, when they woke up, everything looked different. The old woman was no longer kind, but a real wicked witch. She ordered the children, "Hansel, get into the cage, and there you will stay as long as I want. And you, Gretel, get to work. Clean the house and the yard, wash the floor and the dishes." Poor children! Hansel had to get into the cage, and Gretel worked around the house, crying bitterly. The witch fed Hansel well. She wanted to fatten the boy and then roast him in a big oven. Every morning she asked Hansel to give her his finger so she could feel if he had gotten fatter. Hansel was clever, and instead of his finger, he would offer her a bone because the witch had poor eyesight. But one day the witch decided to bake and eat Hansel. She led him to the oven and told him to sit on the large shovel. Hansel pretended that he couldn't sit on the shovel properly, and then the witch said, "Clumsy boy, move aside, and I'll show you how it's done." And she sat down. Hansel and Gretel quickly pushed the shovel with the witch into the fiery oven and tightly closed the door. "Now, let's run," shouted Hansel. They filled their basket with plenty of sweets for the journey, filled their pockets with money, and ran into the forest. How wonderful it was to be free! Oh, how happy they were! The small white bird flew again in front of them, showing them the way. The children followed the bird and soon reached a large stream. How to cross it? There was no bridge or stones in sight. "Wait a moment," the white bird said, and flew away, but soon returned with a large white swan. First, the swan carried Hansel on its back, then returned for Gretel. The children hurried to get out of the forest as quickly as possible. They already knew this area well. And indeed, soon they saw the path leading to their home. "Goodbye," they said to the white bird, and ran towards their house. What joy it was! And how happy their mother and father were when they saw their children alive and well.